So by now you probably can tell I really love my plants. Hey, I'm Janelle and this is toDIYfor. If you're new to my channel, I do new DIYs every single Wednesday. They are thrifted, they are easy, they're affordable. Sometimes they are bigger projects though, but I would love for you to subscribe and check it out every single week. So like I said, I love plants. You can see them like all at these two windows. That's because that's like the only place I get any real sunlight in the apartment, unfortunately. So they all just kind of migrate there and it's getting a little bit cluttered, and I wanted to create a bit of a plant stand just so I can cram more plants in there essentially. So I came across something at the thrift store that I thought would be really easy to turn into a plant stand. So I'm gonna show that to you today.
So I have no idea what these are, but I found them at the thrift store, $5 a piece, and there was 2 of them, and I thought I could link them together and create this really cool plant stand. Let me know if you have any idea what these are. Leave it down in the comments below, but I'm basically just going to use some wood and attach it to these metal poles, and I think it could look really high end because these are made out of metal. So I had to remove this little foam pad here just with my X-Acto knife, and I pulled each one of those off. Then I measured the distance of how long I want each shelf to be, so one on the bottom and one on the top. And I went to the hardware store and I picked up a 2x6. So I just liked the fact that it looked higher end when it was thicker wood, but also it was going to make it easier for screwing in and having like a longer screw for how I'm going to attach this to the metal base. So once I cut down these 2 pieces to the sizes that I've measured, I then went ahead and got to sanding these and just kind of prepping them for some stain. I also had to fill in a few cracks, so I did that with some wood filler, allowed that to dry, and then I went ahead with my typical stain that I've used quite a few times in my apartment. It is a red mahogany, and I stained these boards and wiped off the excess as you do when staining. I allowed it to dry overnight, and then I gave it a couple of coats of polyurethane, and don't forget to sand in between those coats for a nice smooth finish. So this is basically the idea of how it will look. I'm really liking the way it looks. Now to attach it, what I came up with was this steel strapping. So it was pretty inexpensive, around $5 for this roll. I just used my tin snips to cut off a few different strands, and then I'm going to make these so that they'll shape around the metal bar underneath. I hammered down each side so that it was flat, and because there's holes in this, there's holes now for my screws to go in. So I drilled a few pilot holes because this is so close to the edge. I didn't want the wood to split, and I screwed this under. I flipped the other sides up, so just bent them. It's pretty easy to work with, and then bent these down and screwed those into place. And it was actually a very tight hold, so worked really well. I did the top shelf first, and then I did the bottom shelf. Was a little tricky. I threw a can under there to kind of keep things level for me, but here is the completed plant stand with multi-tiers, obviously space for a couple of different plants. I really love how it turned out. I think it looks very expensive and matches the decor pretty well as well. So I would say that probably it would be nicer if it was a little bit higher, but you know what? I think it works. Let me know what you thought of this DIY, and just goes to show you, you can find something random at the thrift store and turn it into something that you might actually need at home. Keep your imagination going. I'll be back next week with a new DIY, so don't forget to subscribe.